As the movie opens, we see a young girl by the name of Vesper jumping around in the mud in hopes of finding some edible vegetables. After looking around for a while, she manages to pick out some before heading back home to her sickly father who was paralyzed. After making something for him to eat and connecting it to his tube, which leads it directly to his stomach, Vesper heads back out, her trusted floating box of a robot, which her father uses for communication, accompanying her. The two head out into the woods and inside a tunnel where Vesper conducts simple experiments in hopes of figuring out how to create clean, edible plants again. While putting her newest discovery in a small jar, they hear sounds coming from outside and hurry out to see what it is, only to find a pilgrim, people who cover up and drag the junk they collect. On their way back home, she tries to speak to her father about the pilgrims, but he tells her that her mother, who had joined the community, was never going to return home. When they arrive at their house, they see that the main door is open, obviously that someone has broken in. Grabbing her large knife, Vesper slowly walks inside to find some of their items broken and the reactor cut and leaking. Rushing to salvage what she can, Vesper ties up the leaky tubes. Realizing that they would need help to sustain the machine keeping Darius alive, Vesper goes to speak to her uncle who lives nearby. When she arrives at the compound, she sees her uncle, Jonas's Jug, an artificial humanoid made for labor, crying in agony after an accident causes a sharp stick it was carrying to impale its thighs. Angry at the accident, Jonas orders the child responsible to take the Jug out of its misery, forcing him to kill it. After the gruesome scene, Jonas notices his niece standing with the crowd and calls her over for a conversation. Vesper tells her uncle that someone has sabotaged their generator and that all their bacteria are gone, explaining that they didn't have any power. Jonas lets his niece know that he is willing to do charity, which Vesper explains that she didn't require any. Inside the house, she finds 2 chairs set up in one of the rooms where the children give out pints of blood that Jonas sells to the Citadel. Sitting on one of the chairs, Vesper gets her hand ready to contribute to her uncle's business, while he talks to her about joining the community and becoming one of his breeders. Disgusted by the idea, she tells him that she would never consider it. Once she is done giving the blood, she asks for the bacteria he owes her, but he tells her to come back in 2 days, knowing that her father didn't have that long. When Vesper attempts to steal her blood back, he grabs her and throws her out of his house. Angry at her uncle's cruelty, Vesper hides until the coast is clear, then steals the bacteria she needs to keep the generator running, as well as seeds Jonas has bought from the Citadel. The following morning, Darius can communicate with her after she charges his robot and asks her about the seeds she had stolen from Jones, telling her to give them back before he notices. Refusing, Vesper tells him that she is going to attempt to unlock the genome of the seeds and make them fertile again. When her father chastises her about her dreams, Vesper becomes angry and rushes out of the house, stumbling upon a passed-out girl who had come from the Citadel in a ship. Feeling sorry for her, Vesper brings her back to her house and tends to her wounds. The following day, the girl wakes up and hears Vesper and her father arguing about her. Darius angrily chastises her for bringing the girl to their house. Hearing the stranger fall from the bed, Vesper rushed to the other room and helped her back on the bed. The stranger introduces herself as Camellia and pleads with Vesper to find her father, who she was traveling with before the crash. She promises Vesper that she will be able to take the 2 back to the Citadel, where Darius might receive the proper help he needs. Excited about the opportunity, Vesper tells her father what the stranger had said, causing him to have a seizure. Seeing Vesper struggle to keep him calm, Camellia walks over and kisses him on the lips, calming him instantly. The following day, Vesper and the drone her father uses to communicate head out into the woods to find Camellia's father. After a long search, they stumble upon the crashed ship and attempt to open the doors. Before Vesper can manage to see what's inside, Jonas arrives with his many children and pushes her to the side. While she watches, Jonas's group manages to open the doors, revealing an old man who had been hurt by the crash. Vengeful because of the hardship it makes them go through, Jonas kills the man. Vesper is devastated, realizing that her one chance to go to the Citadel had been ruined. On their way back home, Darius warns Vesper not to tell Camellia anything and instead urges her to mention that they couldn't find what they were looking for in fear that the girl might do something rash. When they arrived home, Vesper did as she was told, making Camellia eager to come on the next search. Vesper checks Camellia's leg and is surprised by the accelerated healing process the girl has. When she hears Camellia make a backhanded comment about how she didn't realize people outside the Citadel knew anything about synthetic biology, Vesper decides to show her the work she has been doing. Taking her deep into the woods, Vesper shows Camellia the greenhouse she had been working on for years. Inside, she shows her plants whose genetic code she had personally made, giving her a tour of the beautiful spectacles she had created. Shocked by the unexpected revelation, Camellia tells her that they should show this to her father, who was the head of synthetic biology in the Citadel. After returning home, Vesper tends to her father by putting a synthetic sheet over his sores and shows Camellia a book about animals, asking her if she has seen any of them before. Camellia begins to tell her the names and the sounds these animals make, making Vesper laugh. The following day, Vesper and her father's drone head out to Jonas's farm in hopes of sneaking in to use his transmitter to send a message to the Citadel about Camellia. The drone goes ahead to check if the coast is clear, but takes too long to return. Following it, she finds Jonas messing with the machine, telling her that he was only trying to fix it. After telling her about the seeds that had been stolen, he explains that he has sent away Skinny, one of his who was supposed to keep watch, to think about his mistakes. Frightened, Vesper grabs her drone and runs away, realizing a few minutes later that Jonas has ruined her father's only way of communication. Deep inside the woods, Vesper is shocked to see Skinny's rotting body overtaken by the altered plants. Hearing Jonas's kids come after her, Vesper begins to run, but is unable to escape as they catch up to her and brand her hand. Scared by what happened, Vesper rushes home and takes comfort in Camellia's embrace. Unable to keep it a secret anymore, Vesper tells Camellia that her father, Elias, is dead and takes her to see the body. Camellia is devastated by the loss and reveals to Vesper that she was a jug created by Elias. She explains that creating an intelligent jug was a crime and that they were escaping to another citadel for refuge when their ship crashed. Vesper realizes that Camellia had lied about being able to get them into the citadel and angrily pushes her to the ground. Returning home, Vesper tells her father everything she has discovered as well as the mark Jonas gave her on her hand, marking her as his property. Her father tells her that she cannot stay there anymore, fearful that Jonas will try to take her away. Although Vesper has decided to take Camellia to Jonas, she changes her mind when she finds herself attempting suicide. After stopping her, Vesper takes samples of Camellia DNA and begins to study it. She discovers a locked sequence in Camellia's sample and begins to get frustrated when she is unable to unlock it. Seeing her exhaustion, Camellia mentions that she used to play for Elias when he felt frustrated with work and began to play the instrument. Suddenly, Vesper starts seeing changes in the lock sequence and realizes the key to unlocking the sequence is hiding in the notes Camellia was playing. Using this new information, Vesper unlocks the plant seeds, making them fertile again. Realizing that she needs more filters for her experiment, Vesper goes to the tunnels while Camellia stays home to take her off her father's body. While they're alone, Jonas visits them and discovers Camellia. He offers to take her to his camp, telling her that he would be able to contact the Citadel and get her home. Fearing for Darius's life, Camellia agrees to go with Jonas, but he immediately discovers that she was only a jug. While he contemplates making her his slave, Vesper rushes into the house with a knife in hand. After a brief struggle, Camellia and Vesper manage to overpower Jonas. Unwilling to be a murderer, Vesper tries to make a deal with Jonas by telling him about her discovery, explaining that she can make sure they never starve again. After Jonas leaves their house, he returns to his camp and contacts the Citadel to inform them about Camellia. Back at their house, Vesper takes the seeds she had taken from her uncle and unlocks its genetic code so they can start planting them. Suddenly, they notice an electric current coming from outside, followed by a mist that seeps into the house. Darius realizes that the Citadel must be coming for them and urges his daughter to leave. Despite her refusal, Darius is adamant about keeping Vesper alive. The guards from the Citadel arrived at Jonas's house with grim determination, and their swift and merciless execution sent shockwaves through the neighborhood. Meanwhile, as they approached Vesper's house, the tension was palpable. Darius, lying in wait, used his drone to ignite the reactor, causing a powerful explosion that engulfed the guards inside, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. The sight of her home going up in flames left Vesper reeling, her heart heavy with the loss, but Camellia, ever the voice of reason, urged her to keep moving. Despite the overwhelming desire to return to her house, Vesper found strength in Camellia's words, realizing that the remaining guards were still in hot pursuit. With heavy heart and a steely resolve, they pressed on. As the two remaining guards closed in on Vesper and Camellia, the tension in the air was thick with apprehension. In a daring move, Vesper and Camellia triggered the strange plants that surrounded them, causing them to attack the guards. However, as the reality of their situation sank in, Camellia made a heart-wrenching decision. Knowing that the Citadel would never cease their pursuit as long as Camellia remained free, she administered a sedative to her friend, her eyes filled with sorrow, but also a fierce determination. With heavy heart, Camellia gave herself up to the Citadel guards, her sacrifice a testament to her unwavering loyalty and love for Vesper. As Vesper slipped into unconsciousness, her mind swirled with conflicting emotions, torn between gratitude for Camellia's sacrifice and a deep sense of loss and helplessness. The following morning, Vesper wakes up in the middle of the woods and returns home to find it completely burned down. Kneeling on the scorched earth, she digs a small hole and buries the seeds she had modified. Hearing voices coming from the woods, she turns around to see 4 of Jonas's children walking toward her. Letting them join her in her journey, the 5 children head out to the road and stumble upon a pilgrim settlement where they are building a large infrastructure from all the junk they are collecting. Climbing the tall building to the top, Vesper can see the vast expanse of the land as well as the Citadel at a distance. Taking out the modified seeds, she lets the wind take them, hoping that wherever they land, they will grow and prosper.